World full of war, world full of pain. Tired of the war, lost in the flames. Babies in the streets, daddies in chains. Mama out of mind, time for a change. Blood in the streets, slug to the brain. Ice for a heart, that's insane. World full of war, world full of pain. Tired of the war, time for a change.
Welcome to the Broken Mode Podcast, and I'm your host, King Sko. For today's episode, we'll be speaking on a story I was sent about a Maryland rapper by the name of Goonew. It was reported that after succumbing to gunshot wounds sustained during the robbery, his family held a memorial to him at a Washington, D.C. nightclub called Bliss. Now, this wasn't any normal memorial, people. His family had him embalmed and set on stage as if he were performing while other local artists performed around him. And this was all filmed, y'all. You can check this out on my Instagram page at Broken Mode Podcast. I'm 50-50 with this one due to the fact he didn't want his service to be held at a church. Here are a few words from his sister and mother on the subject.
My brother didn't go to church. So that would be unlikely and very fake and phony for us to go and put my brother in a casket.
In a suit?
And listening to gospel music in a suit. My brother told me he didn't want to be in no suit. Standing up. We did say we wanted him propped up some way. Because we did see other services that it was done that way. So we liked it, and that's what we wanted.
Well, you heard it there, people. What can we say? That's what the family wanted. I mean, we can say, damn, that's crazy. Which it was. Like I said, if you want to check out some videos from it, go to my Instagram page, Broken Mode Podcast. It was a wild watch, you know? I mean, it was a couple other stories I've heard of over the years of something similar, like the guy who was buried on his motorcycle. He was a white man, older white man. We had the guy who was set up in his mom's living room. I think this was in New York. I think that was a Hispanic fella. We've heard about it from different cultures. I mean, it's not nothing new. It's kind of outrageous when you see it on social media and you hear about it in a club, like a nightclub. You know, in the nightclub, they say that they had no knowledge of what they was going to do. That doesn't make sense, because then you said that you did know, or you were notified by the funeral home that this was going to happen. That doesn't make sense. You can't say you didn't know and then you did know. You just didn't know it was going to be this big. That's what the hell happened. I put any money on it, you know. I mean, but you can't be really mad because, like you heard, the mom and the sister said this is what he wanted. He didn't say he wanted to be put up in a club, but he said he didn't want his funeral to be held at a funeral home. Okay. I can understand that. But a club, I mean, there's a lot of other places you could have held it at. They had bottles with the sparkles, like a real club event. The lights, the fog, everything. Boy set up, he had his nice suit on. I mean, like, he didn't have no suit on. He had on his jeans and his shirt and his hat. Boy, fresh. The funeral home, I think it was called Dunn's Funeral Home, Dunn's and Family or something like that. Yeah, Dunn's. That was crazy, man. But hey, it is what it is. What can we say? But other than that, there was another story of a guy named Big Eugene. And I don't remember exactly where this happened at, but this was like in 1929. And the man was killed on the side of the road in a all-white town, I want to say. And they were looking for his family, and they couldn't find his family. So the funeral home embalmed him, and they held him for 30 days while they waited for the family. And after the family didn't come back and get him, they just decided, to put him on display in the back of the funeral run, like a little barn, like a little shack at the time. And put him on display. In over 40 years, thousands and thousands of people came through and seen him. And they would take the body, local kids, high school and college kids would take the body and prank people by putting it in like the local diner and in the high school. And this went on for years. Like they allowed it. That's crazy. And finally, somebody took it and put it on a bench in front of Ohio State campus. And they took the body and they formally buried it. I want to say this was in the 1969, somewhere around that time. But check it out. I couldn't find a whole lot of information on it, but you might be able to find more than I could. His name was Big Eugene. It was a black fella. And this was in 1929 or 28 or something like that, back in Ohio. That was a crazy situation. But they just put that man on display for the world to see, which is crazy. Never heard of nothing like that. That's the first time I ever heard of something like that. That was just, they just didn't give a fuck. I guess they had no remorse for him. They didn't know who he was, so I guess they didn't give a damn, and they decided to make a little money off of it. Well, a lot of money. Over 40 years, I'm pretty sure they made a lot of money off of people coming to see him, tourists and stuff like that. I'm surprised it lasted that long, but like you say, this was way before social media and anything like that. This was in the civil rights days, so at that time, you know, if you know, you know. We ain't gonna get on that. But other than that, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off this podcast. If you didn't know, this is the second episode. Like I stated on the first one, I'm new to this, so hit me up on my Instagram page. It's gonna be called The Broken Mode Podcast. On Twitter, Broken Mode Podcast. I don't know if we're gonna make a Facebook page right now, but if we do, I'll come through and I'll let y'all know. But until then, wherever you listen to me at, I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you when I see you. Let's get it. Broken Mode Podcast, King Sko, signing out.
World full of war, world full of pain. Tired of the war, lost in the flames. Babies in the streets, daddies in chains. Mama out of mind, time for a change. Blood in the streets, slug to the brain. Ice for a heart, that's insane. World full